We are live.
Awesome.
Just wait for everyone to tune in, and for now, I guess we just explore the Sandstorm Social Hub and check out this awesome art. Look how cute these souls look. This one's got a candy cane. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, I think my
Yeah,
favorite.
we could say it. Yeah.
This one's gotta be my favorite.
Oh, the holy
That's
angel.
awesome.
That's the kind of the coup de grace of like the that's the
Is that
I
is
think
that the
actually whoever bought that made a Twitter account immediately for it,
nice,
like day one. Yeah.
well deserved? Is that the rarest one or?
So we actually had like I think about like 20 different one of ones from
Okay.
various artists, and then our actual soul artist made like four or five. So
Okay.
that was one of hers.
Okay. Cool. Said various artists. So is there? Did you collab with more than? I'm assuming you did collab with more than just one artist for the one-on-ones.
Yeah, Adam. Sorry, Crypto Influence. How many do we have for
Yeah,
collabs?
I think we ended with around 15 artists were the other artists, and then there were 4 or 5 one of ones from Clarissa. And so, we had artists like Jason Chambers, we had Crypto Stacy's, we had, yeah, uh, off the top of my head, I don't want
There's
to
15
butcher
names, so
anything.
it's hard to remember all of them. I can
Yeah, I
barely
was.
remember 4 names. But yeah, I think people are tuning in. So if you just joined the stream, welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. And today we're interviewing lost souls. So do you want to give a quick intro?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, we're Lost Soul Sanctuary on OpenSea, I guess, and then Lost Souls NFT on Twitter. Sorry if there's background noise.
That's all good.
Yeah, they decided to do road work outside my apartment immediately when the stream started, so that's exciting. But yeah, we launched August 15th.
Mhm.
Yeah, and we kind of I don't know, Adam, you want to go from there? I need to mute my mic.
Yeah, so we kind of originated our idea. We were working towards integrating a DeFi protocol and Web3, throughout the industry, and we wanted something to kind of put a community together and really interact with members of that community rather than most DeFi and Web3 at the time before we launched and before NFTs really started taking place as like a community structure. Before that, it was a lot more just like people using things to get airdrops or get financial incentives. So the idea was to create something that people can actually, connect with. And what spurred that was it was kind of a one of those like Meetup and Discord stories. So like we were all together in another DAO's Discord, and sort of like a venture DAO Discord where people are crowdfunding together. And there was a Lost Souls channel, and it was kind of just for whether it was newer people, whether it was people who weren't yet in the DAO, or just people getting into crypto. A lot of people were kind of migrating to that channel specifically and resonating with the idea that they had like an own community of like, oh, we're lost souls trying to find our way. So we kind of ran with that, and we started up a Lost Souls DAO, and we started working from there and going riffing off ideas, and we came up with the Lost Souls, and we connected with Clarissa, and we liked the vibe of the art and what it conveyed, and kind of the user base that it could go across, not just being for adults or just for kids. Kind of it's a medium where anybody can resonate with one of the traits or just the look overall. And so yeah, and then we're now taking that community and using it to build off the idea that we've been working on for now 2-3 years, I think, between me and Glue. Uh, and so, yeah, that's the basic intro where we are now.
Cool. So you guys have been building throughout the bear market, pretty much.
Yeah, that was 2018, 2019 was pretty brutal.
Yeah.
Crypto and I have been kind of in crypto since like maybe 2014, 2015. I met him in 2018 maybe, and kind of the idea for a way to manage property rights, like kind of NFTs had just kind of like the ERC 721 came out, and we had talked a bunch about NFTs, and there was nothing to do in 2018 in terms of like we talked to a few VCs, we were like building projects and funding, everything just dried up. I don't know, like it was kind of brutal. But then we kept the idea more of just like a side project, kind of just always kind of working towards it, chatting here and there and whatnot. And then finally, like the market started picking back up, summer of last year, I guess, or I guess even a little before that. So we kind of like, okay, like maybe people are more interested in this and whatnot. And like, people are okay with like hearing the word metaverse, and like NFTs are kind of becoming like this kind of big thing. So then it kind of just started snowballing from there.
Yeah. What were a few things that helped you survive the bear market?
Probably like unironically, I know it's a meme, but just like being in it for the tech. Like I am not that good of a trader. Like I've, everyone kind of plays pseudo trader, like whatever, you do throughout your career and that. But I've just always been just always knew the tech would get there, someday, and that like we could kind of, that the tech was the staying part of it. So that was the, no one talks to you, and that's just like, you sitting in your room and like coding and whatnot. There's no like, people don't want to talk about crypto when it's in a bear market or when it's down and everyone's alts are down and whatnot. So it gets sad, but then you have something like the last year and a half where it's like up only, and it's like, this is great. So it's worth it.
And I think it is easier, especially, since we've been in a longer amount of time, it is easier to kind of, it sounds like a cliche to zoom out, but if you do zoom out, and depending on how early you've been, you've seen the way things bounce and how volatile things can get. So I think that's always something that should, whether it's comforting or a warning sign at times, not to get too euphoric. I think that's a good thing to keep in the back of your mind, is just the way the market moves, and zooming out can be very beneficial, especially to like your mental health. So
Yeah, I agree. I've been in the NFT space for like 4 months, and there's a lot going on, and it's overwhelming. Also, like the past few weeks, I've just been able to I promised myself I would just chill, and it's just like it's really helping out a lot. Stay focused on what is important to me.
Yeah, the past I guess we launched in mid-August, and then I guess like the 2 months after that were probably the craziest I think we've ever experienced in terms of like just sheer, I don't even know what you call it, euphoria or just excitement online. And that's like some of the most fun parts to be in crypto. But it's kind of like, it's like a party. It's like at some point you just got like at some point everyone has the same thought. And it's like, I'm gonna take a step back and like, get some sleep tonight and not mint whatever is going on like tomorrow.
Yeah, like it's tiring to be in a bull market for so long. Like I know what that sounds like, but
yeah.
It is. But yeah. Anyways, could you give us a background of the project? Is this a game you guys are building, or is it something completely different?
Yeah, I can kind of, I guess, give a quick background on the, because Crypto Evans had mentioned, when we had the souls, kind of, we wanted an NFT to explain. We really like them because they help explain property ownership to people, and that's like one of the biggest kind of things that we've been working on in terms of our, I guess, DeFi protocol. And really it was just like a way to like, we have a chance to make property ownership a lot different than it is, or than it current is. And right now it's really just, if you think of just land as a property, it's very monopolistic, at least in the West. And And there's other schemes out there that, kind of try to organize, land in certain ways and whatnot. And when I say land, it's the easiest to talk about, but like it's property ownership of really anything at the end of the day, right? Because that's what, what crypto brought us was like ease of transfer of this property ownership. So literally like you can kind of transfer any sort of property, whether it be an NFT, whether it be kind of some other asset. So we really like just harp on that aspect and kind of have developed a solution around, it's called Herberg taxes. And I don't want to like get super into the weeds, but we kind of can, but it was a book by I think Vitalik and another author, Glenn Well, had kind of made, it was called Radical Markets. And so when they came out with that book, it was basically like, all right, these are the biggest, most radical ideas that we think crypto could solve. And that was kind of like the eye-opening kind of read that kind of got me started on all this and whatnot. And what Herberg taxes is, it kind of it abstracts the idea of property ownership to not be monopolistic, like you buy and you hold and you can never move it. What it basically, it kind of has this monkey, it has a few rules to it. So really what it is your property is always on sale.
Okay.
So you list it for a price and you say, hey, if your property is worth, 50 grand or whatnot, someone can at any point come and buy that land from you for 50K because that's the price you listed at. So the other aspect is that you have a small tax that you pay on that land. So kind of, you're not incentivized to, spend really high on it. You're not incentivized to your 50K property. You're not incentivized to list it for 200K because you have to pay a tax on it. And too low, someone could steal it from you. So the idea is that, or, steal it at a cheap price. The idea is that it kind of finds an actual market value of land. And that was kind of like the biggest thing we wanted to do, is basically bring the ideas of market structure and, think about like an order book or you're trading an asset or whatnot. We wanted to bring that to property. And the end goal is kind of how you increase the value of that property is by putting capital or putting, work or putting build into it. So basically you can increase the value of your property by just sheer work. So we kind of, what it creates is like this idea that the land is best is travels to the people that can do the best with it. So if you buy land and you just sit on it, kind of like if you walk into, Decentraland right now, and, I'm not fighting like what they do is great. It's just like a lot of land is undeveloped. And like, it's just like you walk in, you're like, man, where are all these cool developments and whatnot? Because people just own land. And like I was priced out of it in 2017 when it launched. Like I couldn't even buy like back then with like, so what we do is like that, you're paying a small tax on it. Eventually you're not going to be able to afford that unless you do something cool with it. And so it gives someone else the opportunity to kind of build on that land. So that's kind of like the scheme, the kind of dirty technicals that we've been kind of running with. That idea of property ownership is more we call it like leasing from the community. So now we have this community, and we're realizing it in a metaverse, and our community has kind of the ability to, like anyone could come in and just buy the land and be part of the community and whatnot. And, we think that these ideas kind of can be really well explored in something like, a metaverse type situation where you have ease of property transfer. You can transfer, we're not forcing people to move and whatnot. You can just kind of, switch locations and whatnot. And we have a price for every sort of NFT, every sort of land. We can get pricing oracles from Chainlink. We can kind of do all that. So we can actually find the actual value of your property, which like kind of has never been explored. So sorry, that was long-winded, but that's kind of and I saw someone just said, I try to avoid all tax. It's like, it's called, like, I have to call it that because that's what it's like called in like literature and whatnot. But really it's just we try to call it like a fee or whatnot, we're trying to kind of go there. So that's kind of how all this started. Yeah. I don't know if that makes sense. I try to get better at explaining it.
So is the property inside of the Lost Souls project? Like, are you guys coming out with land plots for sale?
Yes. So that's where kind of the overarching project we've had. So we've had this plan for a decent amount of time, and the souls themselves were kind of our way to show property ownership and have an NFT that we can have have control of, at least in the beginning, to build into our DeFi protocol. So the souls are going to be like intimately linked into that kind of, like, so this, yeah, I guess I haven't really fully talked about this too much, but basically the souls kind of provide a way for us to, like I said, you can increase the value of your property by building on it or whatnot. And what you would do is you would actually like stake your souls on that property. So then it would kind of increase the value of that property to work in our full system. And we can kind of have good pricing oracles and kind of have control over how, the NFT is kind of, traded between, because these are kind of new concepts. So yeah, the souls were kind of the first iteration of that, of assets they're going to be allowed. They're kind of the first kind of whitelisted assets that are going to be allowed to stake on your property.
Yeah. So basically, you can buy a land plot, and in order to encourage people to build on it, the more they build on it and the more they use it, the more the value will increase. And on top of that, you can stake a soul onto that land, and then the value will increase even more to encourage, user participation. Which is cool.
That's exactly it. And then, if the land or that landowner doesn't want to kind of use it anymore and the value just kind of drops out or whatnot, then, then someone else can come and buy it and kind of build up with that and kind of has that platform to really, so that's the idea, is like to kind of, I don't want to walk in our metaverse and see like a bunch of empty plots. I want to see like this, the sickest builds like right at that Genesis block and like reaching out, and like I want, I want every plot to be filled and to be used to the extent. So yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that's an awesome way to encourage participation. Because I'm guilty. I am sitting on my Sandbox land plot, but like I don't know what to do with it. So I'm just sitting on it right now.
Yeah, I mean, so we have, and we're not knocking so we're trying to develop our platform that, it becomes metaverse agnostic, so that you can actually use our schemes within plots of land on Sandbox.
Okay.
Is what we're working with now. Yeah. So that technically, like, I don't want to talk too, like, because I just technically still haven't figured that out. But yeah, that's kind of because we're also sitting on, we have a 6x6.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have one build going, but we're like, what do we do with the rest of the builds? Like there's a lot to do. So.
Do you want to talk a little bit more about your 6x6 land plot?
Yeah, Crypto Vince, you want to take that?
Yeah. So, funny enough, we purchased a 6x6 to to show off our logo on the map a little bit, but also to show that we do want to be metaverse agnostic. So we're not just depending on the release of our own metaverse because it goes back to on the same round of branding hand. So we want to build out something that gives everybody owns a soul, and even also like most people are going to be able to access different places in Sandbox of our build depending on what kind of soul you own, and then the general community will be able to hang out. But really, we just wanted to really get that going. So we started out with a sanctuary build on one of our plots. So we're gonna have a nice big Lost Souls castle within Sandbox that should be done within the next couple weeks. So that should be a nice preview. And then some mini games involved within our build are also coming. So those will be pretty fun for our community to interact with. And that's just basically in the meantime before we have our 2D metaverse coming out, which kind of gives the introduction to Ecto and kind of how things are going to work, and then easier laid out scale for users to view, and then move on to which we already have in development, our 3D metaverse, which is going to be more realistic and not as voxely. I would say in comparison, it'd be like a more along the lines of a more realistic Decentraland.
Okay.
So yeah, that's basically the quick basics of our little metaverse interaction so far.
So you'll be upgrading Lost Souls Sanctuary to a 3D metaverse?
Yes.
Okay. Cool. Do you think you can go into a little more detail about what you're building inside the sandbox? Because right now it doesn't sound like it sounds like you're not going a full gaming route. Sounds like there's going to be a mix of everything.
Yeah, so I guess when we had talked to the I guess the game makers that we're kind of working with, they had expressed that like the game mechanics themselves are not 100% there yet. But what we did was we designed the and I guess we could talk about the build, but really what we designed is a few fold. So we designed the sanctuary to kind of show off the souls. So each floor is going to have a different kind of based on rarity, what sort of what sort of soul you hold as the most rare, kind of being the top and whatnot, and kind of doing NFT access that way. And then they started talking about what we could do with the the gaming aspect. So we are going to have kind of a big venue downstairs just for like kind of meetups and whatnot, and then have a dungeon aspect where we kind of have mini games and having NPCs within the actual sanctuary. They could either learn about the project. We can run all the like kind of just like community stuff through those avatars or through those like NPCs that you can talk to or whatnot, and then maybe we have a bunch of different plots, so we might kind of make it run giveaways through there or whatnot, and then kind of have it in the end towards kind of working in the I guess like the dungeon downstairs. We can have like fighting a some sort of, I think we're fighting, I forget exactly what we have, but yeah, so yeah, I mean we're excited to see what Sandbox is really cool. We're excited to see what kind of more we could do with it.
And I think another good way to like kind of explain our sandbox, where we say like mini games, is kind of we kept talking about like the aspect of kind of making it more so like a Luigi's Mansion type of game, where you can interact with these different items or NPCs or the souls on the wall, so that you can enter a mini game to, whether it's going to be like a player to player like little battle, or just to fight an NPC, stuff like that.
Okay. Was there a reason you chose the Sandbox over Decentraland or Somnium Space?
Yeah, we talked about, I mean, I had always been a fan of crypto voxels, just for the in terms of really their like there's the development aspect, just for like for a while, like I've just always followed them. And then Decentraland, like we were kind of, I don't know, I maybe like I was priced out of it in like 2017, and like when they initially launched, and I guess that left a sour taste in my mouth. And but at the end of the day, Sandbox just seems one. We actually did buy the plot. We didn't really know how big the plots were. We just bought it because we thought we have a picture of the soul on the on the 6x6, and so that was kind of our criteria in the beginning. And then I mean, just the sheer amount of other kind of I think other people that you can kind of see on the map, and like other, I don't know, it just seems like the most the most well done, and they really like there's something to do in it. Like there's always, they have that game aspect that they're building, so that there's inherently, it seems like there's always going to be something to kind of build on those lands. Like you build a game, at the end of the day, I think communities are going to really flourish in terms of like extend back from that. But like they really kind of were like, okay, you can just come and build a game, and then I think like things are going to grow out from that. So we're pretty excited for that.
Yeah. I also think things like Vox Editor and what basically the strides they've made with that, and how easily we've kind of seen, whether it's even people from a younger age who had experience in Minecraft to more experienced artists and builders, it seems like there's a lot easier barrier of entry to creation within Sandbox. So I think that also definitely played a role in the idea that more people are going to gravitate towards something they can more easily grasp than say full rendering, or even a half and half. And because Vox Editor gives you kind of full, you can build and get the accessibility that you want to see within range of movement, etc. So I think that's also a key point to look at, is how easy these metaverses are to build in or to interact with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Sandbox, out of all the metaverses, Sandbox right now has the most network effects, and I think that's going to be very powerful going into the next few years. So we'll see how that plays out. I'm super excited. Like I love all of them. Like I love Decentraland, Somnium Space, Sandbox, and Crypto Voxels, but I chose the Sandbox as well. So we'll see. Do you guys want to talk a little bit more about your merch? Because I know Lost Soul Sanctuary is going to have some merch. So
Yes, yeah. You want to take that?
Yeah, so we're gonna actually. Should I go into the other one too? The other merch.
Yeah, just talk about it all.
So
Oh,
basically, we're gonna have some merch coming out, a full merch store, with basically kind of centered around our logo for the more general release of our merch, the simplified soul logo. We'll have hats and t-shirts, and we've been working on some designs. But then what's really cool is we decided to kind of go for another on at the same time another side hoodie project, and which is a piece of merch from A Lost Souls, and we have a pretty well-known designer working on the hoodie design, and basically it's going to be set up similar to the way Unisocks work. So basically, you'll have your token and be able to burn it for uh, in return for a hoodie, and then it's on that curve. So the more that are burned, the higher the price to purchase one, and this kind of works in tandem as a social experience as well as getting this piece we've been working on that's a more limited run out to our community and to the public, really. So it's something we wanted to kind of integrate and see how it worked with overall, especially like a project that people have kind of been waiting on merch. So we wanted to have a nice way to give two sides of the coin, a more general release and a more limited fun way to interact with it.
yeah. Someone in the chat said, I need some soul merch ASAP. They want it now.
Working on it, man. Working on it.
The shop should be up soon.
soon, TM.
That's awesome. So is there a lore behind the Lost Souls or the project in general?
You want to check that? All right. It's actually, if you actually check out our smart contract, I actually wrote some of it in there. But really, yeah, Lost Souls started as kind of an experiment for us to kind of, we took the Lost Souls as kind of living in the ectoplasm, and like the souls themselves are kind of like a work between our team, like Lost Labs, and the souls. We struck a deal with them to basically help them like move over to the kind of the afterlife, I guess what we call it. I don't know if you guys have seen The Good Place, but took some inspiration from them, but kind of helping the Lost Souls kind of move from that ectoplasmic realm, and try to help them do good deeds and whatnot to kind of get to the good place. And so we kind of have now our DeFi application is called Ecto, and the metaverse is called Ectoverse. Okay. So yeah, hopefully we can get the souls in the Ectoverse as quickly as possible.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, you guys are building a lot of complex things. Like at least for me, at least to my eyes, I'm like, oh my god, there's a lot. So like, how big is the team? Because it does sound like you guys have a lot on your plate.
Yeah, so we have DeFi. Yeah, like it's a very interesting development process, because you kind of run it like a startup, but you kind of don't, because it's like a lot of people from around. So we have 5 or 6 like main people that are working on it, and then we have we're actually hiring for like a lot of different positions. It's just a little we finally have kind of a legal structure in place, and we have a big team of advisors to kind of help us move forward, because that's kind of the nitty gritty that I guess you don't see a lot with these projects, is that they do, people need to get paid and people need like certain, like, so that's kind of the biggest thing that like, so I'm the lead developer on it, and that kind of like, and Crypto Influence and I have been kind of dealing with a lot of kind of expanding the team and expanding it in a decentralized way, and then also kind of still getting things done. So yeah, it's really interesting. But yeah, we have luckily we've been kind of the core ideas we've had are pretty well fleshed out now. So we're kind of moving towards a lot of the execution phase, and we have someone really good working on the 3D verse. So yeah, we're excited about that.
That's cool. Yeah, hiring people, I bet isn't hiring people just a guessing game? 'Cause
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's all fun and games on Discords and whatnot, and then but we, at least when we started, we kind of, I've worked in, I guess, in like enterprise software for a while, and then I've worked on a few startups on the side. I've been paid by some, not paid by some, had funding come through, not go through, been burned. So like I made it like, at least like day one, the goal was to get people get roles and responsibilities outlined and get pay as much as possible, because like it's, I think you see it a lot too, just on Twitter, when like DeFi apps are like people are quitting and whatnot. Like that's just what I didn't want our kind of anything we touch to kind of be like, oh yeah, you just do this work for us and this, no, like everyone. So it's like, just make it, it's a little harder to do it the right way, getting lawyers and contracts and stuff, but it's it's much more fertile when everything dies down and whatnot, and people are like, oh cool, I'm getting paid for the work I'm putting in. It's like, yes, that's what we're doing here. So yeah, we're finally at a pretty good, comfortable spot where we're going to start expanding very soon. Yeah.
what utility do these NFTs have, the lost souls